Honorable Mui, MP for Kadiani.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, listening to the chairman of Finance, the Honorable Kimani Kuria, he actually said that we've been living a lie. And I want to agree with him because Kenya has become actually an experimental guinea pig by this regime. They attempted to overtax Kenyans, it didn't work. They proceeded to borrow, they've reached the limit. Now they've changed the term of borrowing, it's now called securitization and all sorts of other terms. It is also not working. So we've settled on selling everything that Kenya owns. Mr. Speaker, if you have a cow, and using that cow, you can be able to pay fees for your children, it makes absolute...
Order, Honorable Mbui. Honorable Kimani is in a point of order. What's out of order, Honorable Kimani?
Honorable Speaker, is it in order for the honorable member to misinform this House deliberately that we are selling, deceive this House, that we are selling everything we own? Whereas if he's referring to the session paper number 2 of 2025, the partial divestiture, we are only diversifying only 15% of the shares. The rest remains owned by the government of Kenya. So when you misinform this House deliberately to just skew emotion, Honorable Speaker, I think it's very fair, and the honorable member should withdraw that particular statement that we are deceiving this House, that we are selling everything, because that is very far from the truth, Honorable Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I said when you're milking a cow and use that money to be able to educate your children, it makes absolutely no sense to sell that cow. Because then, if you sell the cow and build a house, how do you pay fees after that? Mr. Speaker, I also listened very keenly to the majority leader when he spoke about this. And he was very, very categorical about the work that it will do, roads, mega dams, electricity distribution, very colorful language. But Mr. Speaker, absolutely nothing new was said by the majority leader. You know, it makes it sound like forming this fund is going to give us money, create money from thin air. That doesn't work. Money must come from somewhere. So this fund is definitely not going to have money from somewhere. Now, he also quoted the president and said, you know what, we don't want to overburden our budget to build infrastructure. We cannot continue borrowing. But then when you read the bill, you find that actually the board that they're forming is actually going to be borrowing. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to just say I totally oppose this attempt at taking Kenya backwards, because I don't think there's anything positive about this. We've been building our roads. We have an international airport. It may not be excellent, but it was built when this fund wasn't there. We have highways. They were built when this fund wasn't there. We have actually dams, huge dams. They were built when this fund wasn't there. So you're pretending that suddenly with a fund we'll be having things that we didn't have before. That is not, there is nothing further from the truth. Now the purpose of this fund is to scale up and accelerate development. But you know, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to just say that they say that it is going to mobilize private capital and non-traditional sources of funds, for example, pension funds. So that means NSSF is in trouble, because that is where they're going to be looking for money for. Mr. Speaker, it also means, obviously, Mr. Speaker, also...
The majority leader is on a point of order.
You know, Mr. Speaker...
Honorable Speaker, you know my good friend Robert... My good friend Robert has invited me from my office when I listened in, Honorable Speaker, and mentioned my name in particular. So I have a right of reply, Honorable Speaker. Because he's saying that I said we are going to do infrastructure that has been done before without this fund. But if he listened to me, and he says, and I heard someone else also claim that this is another way of borrowing. It is not, Honorable Speaker. And when I listened, Honorable Speaker, and I thank God that you are on the chair, you did correct something. We are being told that, oh, what we are doing is what Ghana did. And you know, it's not even fair to discuss another country, but Ghana defaulted on their debt, on public debt, because they engaged in borrowing, the borrowing that we are moving away from. Robert, my good friend, is now saying that we have done roads before. Yes, we have done one superhighway, Thika, in 2008. We have done an expressway through a public-private partnership, what we are proposing in this bill. Honorable Speaker, somebody said that we are handing over 5 trillion shillings to an individual, and that the bill has has no oversight mechanism. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, I was saying on a point of order that we must restrict our debate to what is in the bill, what is provided for in the bill. Because if you read this bill, and the bill, I can...
Honorable Majority Leader, when you are on a point of order, you pick out what was out of order, which I think you have done.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, because
now,
they are saying...
Order, honorable members. Order, you are now debating. And in any case, as you put it, order. You know, I miss those old days when I was a deputy speaker and I used to throw out of this place, ministers included. So if you want me to do that, I'll gladly do that again. Yeah, you put it very well. And you've already put in yours that this is not borrowing. Even if it's borrowing, creating equity and then public-private partnership, which means these are going to be companies on their own. It's not the state or the government that will be borrowing, Honorable Mbui. But nonetheless, you proceed. I'm actually putting in some of these things because unfortunately today you don't have the normal speaker. You have somebody who is also a member of a constituency. Who also wants development in this place. When you talk about development being there in every corner all these years, that was discriminated, institutionalized abuse of office by the frequent governments that were there, because they took this development only to certain areas. 80% of the country does not have development. Anyway, let's continue. I just have to butt in on this because I also have to represent the Dadaab constituency, which has never seen a tarmac road, never ever seen a mega dam or a tarmac road. Proceed, Honorable Muya. I know you come from Kadiani in Machakos, and that place is very well developed. Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I want to confirm that it says that we will reduce reliance on public debt. Yes. And Mr. Speaker, and yet I want to just point out, if you look at part 2 of the bill, which talks about the establishment and functions of the board of the fund, one of them, part 5(2)(c), is borrowing money. So, Mr. Speaker, when you say you're not borrowing, and it is there in the bill, we have read the bill, Mr. Speaker. You know, so, I mean, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to just continue and say this, that, Mr. Speaker, the real purpose behind this infrastructure fund is to make sure that you evade Parliament. Mr. Speaker, how do you do that? Money that is appropriated through this house is what we distribute so that we can be able to do development, as you have said, without being skewed in a certain way. But, Mr. Speaker, there is nowhere in this bill that shows any plan that will make sure that the money being distributed through this fund will be able to reach everybody fairly. So, Mr. Speaker, there is absolutely no benefit for this fund. And I think it's just a way by which we want to borrow more money and have money that we can be able to use, especially going into the next election, because I'm certain that is the purpose for which this bill is being pushed. And I'm certain members here will push it for it to go to third reading tomorrow so that we can be able to pass this for the next election. But, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that Kenyans are watching us. Kenyans are watching us and they know exactly what we are doing, and Kenyans will stop us if we don't stop ourselves. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that there's a lot more problems with this bill. Now, they say that for you to qualify to serve in this as a member of the board, you have to have worked in a senior managerial position for 15 years. Mr. Speaker, that basically means that you lock out all people that are youthful in this country. For the age of, to finish the age of what we call the youth, you have to be above 35 years old. Mr. Speaker, when you finish university, you're already over 22 years old. You add 15 years, you're already over 35 years old. That means absolutely no youth will be able to serve in this. Mr. Speaker, how fair is that? That, in my opinion, is even unconstitutional. There must be a way by which people that are not beyond 35 years can be able to also participate. Not to forget, Mr. Speaker, that we are saying that you cannot be a member of, you cannot be an independent director if you have served as a member of Parliament. That's also discriminatory, Mr. Speaker. How can you stop people from being able to serve in any position in this country? It is absolutely not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've seen that the CEO, the Article 15 talks about the CEO, and then 16 talks about an administrator that is supposed to be designated by the CS. Mr. Speaker, therein I just see conflict. So why would we have the two of them? Mr. Speaker, I think one of them is enough to manage this fund. Why do you have a CEO and then at the same time you have somebody designated by the CS? Obviously, that means that the CS wants to be able to run the fund. And Mr. Speaker, I think that is absolutely unacceptable. So this, Mr. Speaker, at the end of it all, if we don't put a stop to this, Mr. Speaker, I see this regime leaving this country high and dry. Because the intention, the real intention, which they don't say, is that they are attempting to borrow about 5 trillion. Mr. Speaker, if they borrow this kind of money, and you know that they'll be going home in 2027, what happens? Mr. Speaker, we are not going to take over a government and be struggling to pay loans
Speaker,
that has been...
Robert, if Honorable Robert could listen to me. You know, Honorable Speaker, there is a reason why we have committees of this House that help us to interrogate some of these bills before we debate. And Robert was here this afternoon because I was with him in the House Business Committee, so I'm certain he was here at 2:30, and he witnessed the chair table the report. And if you go through that report, Honorable Mbui, and he has a researcher paid by the public in his office, that is why I suppose he should be able to have seen from the committee's report some of the issues he's raising are already addressed in the committee's report vis-a-vis the role of the administrator and the secretary. And the committee has actually recommended that they will be moving an amendment to make the secretary of the board or the CEO the administrator of that fund so that there is no duplication. I was just drawing that attention to Robert so that he doesn't, even the years of experience he's speaking to are issues that are already addressed. But you know, we want to debate, as I said earlier, to excite people out there without looking at what is there.
Order Kagucha, order Ngogoyo, order on. Allow. In any case, Honorable Mbui, you can move in an amendment to these things on the floor of the House. The bill is coming before the House. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, we actually don't just debate the report, we debate the bill. I'm reading the bill. So the majority leader, I think, is getting mixed up because
which you can still move an amendment. Yes.
On this floor of this House, we do not debate the report. We debate the bills.
Yes.
The report is just a proposal by the committee, which can be taken or not taken. And the amendments you cannot propose. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, Mr. Speaker, there is the issue of the remuneration of the directors in clause 13. And I think I've seen that the proposal is that guidelines will be given by the CS from time to time on the remuneration. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether this is constitutional because I would have thought that that would have been better done by SRC because then why would the CS be the one making decisions on remuneration when we already have an independent commission that deals with the salaries and remunerations? Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I oppose.
The Honorable Combe Harrison. Honorable members, you will all get time. Don't worry.